Well done, Brian.
There you go.
We're pulling for
Very
you, man.
good.
Well done, and I bought my copy. Fox News alert now. Serious questions over the number of people who are truly signed up for Obamacare. The White House making a big splash about the numbers. But are those people actually enrolled? Do they pay money? Good morning, everybody. I'm Bill Hemmer. There's a lot to go over on this today on a Thursday edition of America's
Indeed, there
News.
is, Bill. Good morning to you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum. So the White House says 364,000 Americans have signed up through healthcare.gov and through the state exchanges as well. That leaves a bit of a gap, as you can see pretty clearly on here. It's a long way to their target of 7 million, which they said they were going to reach by March.
That's a huge difference. Lawmakers on the Hill revealing no one, not even Kathleen Sebelius, knows who cut a check. And without paying for it, they don't actually have coverage.
This is a critical statistic. It's clear HHS knows the number of Americans who have essentially put a plan in their shopping cart. Your testimony includes data on the number of users who can use healthcare.gov simultaneously and the number of website hits. However, this most critical statistic, the number of Americans who will actually have coverage effective January 1, do you have an estimate?
Sir, I think 365,000 through the end of November have enrolled in coverage, and we are dealing with the issuers to confirm their actual payment.
So that was the best answer we got. Stephen Hayes, senior writer, Weekly Standard, Fox News contributor. Steve, how are you? And good morning,
Bill.
to you. What does that demonstrate, do you think?
Well, I don't think she was very straightforward there. I mean, you're talking about 365,000 people who have enrolled, who have actually filled out the paperwork. But that's not the same, as you point out, as people who have actually made their first payment of their premium. That's who's going to be covered. There was a very interesting article at ProPublica yesterday, which suggested that somewhere between 15 and 20% of those who have actually filled out the paperwork have made that first payment. So you're talking about, you know, a fraction of that 365,000 figure that Kathleen Sebelius gave, who are actually set to be covered when this begins.
There seemed to be, I mean, they were poking around the edges and trying to get a straight answer. Do you believe she did not know or did not want to say? And there could be an explanation as for why she does not know.
They can give every single other marker, every single other measure of people who have come on the website, how long they've been there, people who have filled out paperwork, have filled out these enrollment forms. I think they know. I think they knew the enrollment numbers or the sign-up numbers a month ago when they were refusing to provide those. They just don't want to provide them because they want to give the sense they're very interested here at this crucial juncture, 11 days before the December 23rd sign-up deadline, of giving the impression that there's momentum, that people are actually now signing up in greater numbers. So they don't want to give any numbers that suggest that that's not happening.
We're dealing with the issuers to confirm their actual payment. Crowd hammer from last night on the politics of this, Steve.
I think all of this is to assuage Democrats, to give them something to hang their hats on and pretend everything's okay on the recess, but the beginning of January is going to be a train wreck for them.
Do you agree with that statement? And if so, what happens or what is expected come January?
Well, I entirely agree with that statement. I mean, I think what we're looking at the beginning of January is potential for mass chaos. I mean, you've got basically a number of people, perhaps in the thousands, maybe tens of thousands, who are going to show up at their doctors thinking that they have coverage, who will not have coverage. What you have going on now, this was very interesting from the hearing yesterday, is Kathleen Sebelius acknowledging that the administration and insurers are doing what she called hand matching applications, because the back-end data, the data that's input, goes through the system and then is spit out to the insurers to tell the insurers who they're covering, why, what the payments have been. That data is still so flawed that they're literally going through by hand and matching that data on the back end with the data that people have provided on the front end.
In 2013.
It's totally unsustainable.
Yeah. Stephen Hayes, thank you. Senior writer, Weekly Standard out of Washington. Good to see you. Here's Martha.
Thanks, Bill.
Well, meanwhile, how about this? Staffers on Capitol Hill are now being warned. They got an email yesterday that despite some fixes in the exchange website, that they should not trust any of the information that they have received from it. They got an email, the Capitol Hill staffers, that circulated to the congressional folks, warning them that they may not be enrolled for the coverage, even if they technically went through the process and did sign up. They say if you don't have a confirmation letter, you may not be covered. So even if the government has doubts about the system, what about the rest of America in terms of whether they can be expected to rely on the fact that they signed up and they think they have it? Our panel is going to debate this later in the show. Stick around for that.
Stunning email that came out yesterday. Also a reminder of the tough task that the administration has in getting folks to sign up for Obamacare. New poll now saying 4 in 10 Americans would rather pay the fine or what's technically called that mandate tax instead of buying health insurance. The same poll at a Princeton survey research finding Americans are confused about the mandate tax amounts and who is required to buy a plan. So we wanted to know on Twitter today, would you rather enroll in health care or would you pay the fine? Take your pick. Send us a tweet at Bill Hemmer and at Martha McCallum for the next 2 hours on that.
You know what's going to be interesting? How effective the government is at collecting the fines and fining people.
Another issue.
My guess is that they will be much more effective at finding people and levying that tax against them than they are so far at signing them up for health care.
But remember, you have to get
system's going to work.
You have to get a tax refund in order for them to extract the tax out of your account.